Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got my thoughts on the conservative war from Brett Cooper. Yeah, as you know, subscribe, hit liked, hit the like, get subscribed, and both my channel, hers, it'll be in the description as usual, and we're gonna get right into it.
So guys, Matt Walsh is trending yet again, and this time it is because he has done the unthinkable. Matt Walsh has had the gall to call for unity on the right and refuse to betray his friends.
Oh, how dare he!
So as you guys probably know, Matt Walsh is no stranger to controversy, whether it is over little things like his refusal to drink raw milk and how disgusting he thinks it is, or the work that he has done to eradicate gender ideology. I mean, he has faced controversy on every single scale, but the ridicule, the scrutiny that he is facing online right now, I shouldn't say ridicule, it is far more aggressive than that. The scrutiny that he is facing online right now is probably the most ridiculous outrage that he has ever faced. And
yeah, I actually haven't heard about this outrage, so I pay attention to some of these guys, but I don't watch every video from each of their channels. I don't have that much time in my day.
Because he said that he wants to unite the entire right wing, flaws and all, and that he will not cancel his friends to do it. And I think we all know why people are so angry. Before we dive into that, though, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you've
It's because the left loves cancel culture.
not already. And
they would love to
that
turn on all their friends
always
to make content out of
every
it.
single one of our episodes. All right, so let's just dive right into this, because this entire conversation did not just start 48 hours ago. It goes back to right after Charlie Kirk's assassination. Now, Matt made multiple posts basically saying,
well, Charlie Kirk's assassination was a, no pun intended, but a turning point.
We, as a political party, a political ideology, need to put our squabbles aside and work together to defeat the violent left-wing radicals. And he said, I cannot, quote, unite with the left because they want me dead.
Yes, that is what we learned. Hey, this is September 12th, just 2 days after Charlie Kirk's murder. And yeah, I fully agree, the left wants us dead, and people who act like us dead, or people who don't 100% agree and follow every single premise they follow to a T, which they don't realize doing what they do will get them disowned by their own group eventually.
They will spit on my grave when I die and laugh in the faces of my wife and children. There can be no unity with such people, but I will unite with anyone on the right. I hereby discard any
I'll unite with anybody on the right, anybody else in the middle, and any sane left. There is the insane left and the radical left. And then there is a small group of sane left. I know a few. I talk to a few. I am very good friends with one. We've played games online before, and they do fall into that. Definitely, you could call them leftist liberal, and you wouldn't be 100% right, but you wouldn't be wrong.
Grudge or personal feud I may have had with anybody on my side. Maybe we will pick up those arguments sometime in the future. Now we have to stand together. And he posted that just 2 days after Charlie was assassinated on September 12th. Now, most people agreed with Matt's sentiment. This post got 6 million views. People were supporting it. They were saying, yes, this is exactly what we need to do moving forward. We need to stand together against this. This is how we should honor Charlie, is by uniting. I agreed with the sentiment, but there were some people online who were very angry about the idea, specifically because there are certain people on the right that they do not want to unite with, aka people like Nick Fuentes or Alex Jones, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, even Megyn Kelly. Now,
well, Candace Owens was a hard leftist. She was a far leftist, and then all of a sudden now she's a far right-winger. I would call her that because she seems to have let the pendulum swing so far to the other way that it's like, oh, well, that's an interesting one.
One of these people who was so angry about this post was James Lindsay. Now, for added context, in case you do not spend the same amount of time on X that I do, Matt Walsh and James Lindsay have been going back and forth over different issues for months at this rate. And also, just so I'm putting it out there, I have never spoken with James Lindsay. I have never met him, I don't think. We have never interacted, but he apparently does not like me either. I have stumbled upon multiple comments of his condemning me. We can talk about why later, but I just wanted to put that out there. Anyway, this is how James responded to Matt's post. He said,
Have fun with
Have
your
fun
new
with your new
friends,
Now,
Matt.
people were shocked by this response because if there was ever a time to say, hey guys, we're putting it aside for now, it is all water under the bridge, at least for now, let's all work together, it would have been after Charlie was shot.
Yeah.
Not for James. And so then Matt.
See, the assassination of Charlie Kirk was a specific point where all the left had to do, even if they didn't mean it, is just fake sympathy for Charlie and even just pretend that they cared a lick at all at any regard of, oh my gosh, this family, these kids have to grow up without a father, this is a horrible thing and it never should have happened. No, they chose to do the opposite and double down and be, yeah, let's kill more, we gotta get more of them, fuck those Nazi scum. And it's like, A, we're not Nazis, we're just Americans who love America and want America to go back to what it was at a greater point in history, because I saw the writing on the wall. Our nation was in a decline. It was ready to fall and not be the global superpower anymore, and that's something that we cannot have. A nation that fights for peace and fights to try and get, all the nations of the world to get along. Like, our president right now, he may not have been the exact guy walking down the battlefield, stop firing, but due to him creating different trade deals with different countries who were about to go to war, especially India, Pakistan, that could have turned nuclear very quickly, where Trump just said, hey, if you guys are going to war, I'm not trading with either of you, and you can't sell or buy from the U.S. And then they went, oh crap, both our countries rely on trade with the U.S. Hey, let's make a deal that benefits us in a way that doesn't lose us trading partners with the U.S. Okay? Okay. And yeah, some simple things were solved like that, where basically Trump just strong-armed him into, if you're fighting, we're not trading. Which I think that's a great philosophy to follow, because it helps bring the world closer to peace, and it makes people have to settle their differences without just shooting each other.
Matt and James started going back and forth yet again.
If you can't settle your differences without choosing to shoot your enemy or shoot your opponent, you're the fascist.
And James went on and he made his point even more clear. He was saying that it wasn't really about uniting or not uniting with Matt Walsh. It was about who else he would have to be on the same team with. He said, if I take your olive branch, Matt Walsh, who and what do I have to stop criticizing? You're glazing Fuentes. Is that an example of what I'll be required to shut up about for unity? Now, the thing is,
I think with Nick Fuentes, a lot of what he says are jokes, and a lot of what he says he fully believes. Now, is there a problem if everything he said he believed? Yeah, there might be. But there are clips I've seen that are obvious jokes. And obvious people are taking them, oh my gosh, he's so serious, he wants to wipe out this group of people. Where it's like, no, he's just, recognizing patterns and either making some statements about them or making a joke about them. If you gave me time, I could probably pull up a couple hundred clips of him saying different things and then go to some longer form of him more explaining out what he was meaning by that, or a better explanation of that.
Matt Walsh was not glazing Nick Fuentes. I don't think Matt Walsh has ever glazed Nick Fuentes. The thing that James is referring to in this tweet is when Matt was defending Nick from the ridiculous accusations that Charlie Kirk's assassin was a groyper, and then
Nick Fuentes, they were like, oh yeah, they were trying to claim the assassin was like in a Nick Fuentes audience, and Nick's like, actually no. In fact, I might not have agreed with Charlie, we might have disagreed a lot, but he didn't need to be killed. I'm upset by him being killed. This is a terrible thing to happen, because Nick is on the right, and he's like, oh shit, there's more people on the left who want me dead than more people on the right who want the left dead. It's a lot different, the statistics. Yeah, they're on both sides, but both sides are not equal. Both sides are like a fucking teeter-totter with a 300-pound guy on one side and a 20-pound toddler on the other. obviously the weight is very unbalanced here.
Nick Fuentes was to blame. This was an idea that was running rampant, especially in left-wing circles, in the mainstream media. I think a late-night host, it might have even been Kimmel, blamed Nick for this. It was ridiculous. And in my opinion, Matt is a very good and just and fair person for defending Nick.
Everything I so far know about him.
James didn't see it that way. Somebody else commented and said, I don't understand this, James. He said he'd be willing to unite with anyone on the right. You're on the right. Why do you still have an issue with him? I'd really like to discuss this in October. You know how much I respect you, and I respect Matt as well. And James responded and said, he means people like Fuentes. I'm not on the right. The right threw me out. Like, sir,
the right does not throw people out. The left does that.
are we having a pity party now? Like, is this what this is? Somebody else replied and said,
you either leave the right
conversations with
or you get thrown out of the left.
Skirmishes, you guys should actually talk. And James responded and said, no, we should not. He's like, no.
Yeah, you either leave the right, you get thrown out of the left, or the left left you.
I don't want to. I'm done. I know exactly what he's requiring me to do. I don't want to be involved. That is basically what James was saying in response to Matt. Like, I'm sorry, but Matt calling the right to unify is not about you, James, aligning with Nick Fuentes. It is much bigger than that. You aligning with Nick is not what Matt is lying awake thinking about.
Yeah, where if this is the political spectrum, where you've got the far right over here, the far left over here, and then this is the middle. This is how you would feel it is, where you've got moderate left, moderate right, and, you know, the more extreme guys over here, the more extreme ones over here. But, you know, these people and these people probably won't get along. But usually the people in here can get along. But right now, you've got this being the political aisle, where here's the middle, here's the left, here's the far left, here's the far right, and here's the moderate right. And Charlie was right about here. Erica Kirk's over here with the much deeper part. That's just, you know, from what I've learned about her and them. But yeah, it seems if you're over in this group, you can't get along with anybody who's not at least this far left. It's like, are we serious? You mean anybody who's from here far left, you believe, oh, they're not far left enough, they're a right winger. And so all of this you can't get along with. Like, is that what we're talking about? Is that what we're going on here?
Tonight, he is thinking about avenging the death of his friend Charlie Kirk and protecting conservatives from violent people on the left. That is why Matt made these posts. That is the unity that he is calling for. And Matt laid all of this out in an episode of his podcast. Just take a listen.
Now, I can tell you where there should be unity. There should be unity on the right among conservatives. And this is a message that I've preached a few times in the last few days on X. That as conservatives, we need to put the petty squabbles and the infighting and all that crap to the side. We can get back to that later. We need unity among conservatives. Now, there are some people who've already turned down this invitation. James Lindsay, for example, when I tweeted this a couple days ago, he told me no thanks. Doesn't want to unite. Doesn't want to stop attacking people on the right. Which even after Charlie was assassinated, that's all he's been doing. Just still going after. Still. That is like, not saying anything about the people who would actually be pissing on his grave if he were killed. No problem with them. It's just going after the right. And that's fine too, if that's how you feel. It's like, fine. I'm just done with you in that case forever. We're not allies. You don't exist anymore. You're irrelevant. If even now, in the face of all this, after one of our most important leaders has been shot and killed on stage in front of us by a deranged LGBT militant, if even now you still have an appetite to spend your time punching right, then I have nothing else to say to you or about you.
I mean, that's
the only way to punch right now is to punch, nowhere. You don't want to solve things through violence. We'd like to get things through a peaceful resolution and chat and talk to individuals. I have so many friends on both sides of the aisle, friends or coworkers on both sides of the aisle, that we can have political discourse and discussion, and have things gotten heated a few times. You bet your ass they have. However, do we end our friendships and our working relationships with each other over it? No, because we're sane individuals who can have a good dialogue with each other. Well, we're not sitting, but, we're standing having a conversation with each other. And to the extent of, sometimes we don't walk away, agreeing with each other. Sometimes we have the agree to disagree.
Matt Walsh, he does not pull punches in the slightest. And I love him for it. Now, all of this took place back in September. This is not new news. This is just the context. This is basically like going over the syllabus before you start your new semester at Grand Canyon University. Now, GCU is an affordable private Christian university in the beautiful Phoenix, Arizona, and they offer over 2 federal grants and aid. GCU's. Now, back to the issue at hand. This same conversation about unity involving Matt Walsh came up again after Politico broke the story about the Young Republicans group chat. Now, Matt's take, which is similar to mine, is that there are simply bigger issues at hand. These were people in group chats who, based on my understanding, were trying to make edgy jokes with their friends. It was leaked by a trusted person over a Young Republicans leadership squabble, is what I understand. Like, the whole thing just seems like ridiculous and embarrassing, but still a non-issue in the broader political landscape, especially what we are facing in the wake of Charlie's assassination. Now, Politico took that story, they took those messages, those few messages out of like 26,000 that they had to comb through, and they ran with it as a way to distract from the fact that elected Democrat officials routinely call for violence against conservatives, just like we saw last week with a Virginia Attorney General candidate. They do so publicly, openly. And no, it is not a joke. This is not done in group chats. Even with last week, it was done over text. And yet that candidate continued to say, I'm not joking, I actually mean that. Those are not the same. Now, if you don't believe me, let's just take a look at some of the rhetoric from last weekend's No King protests that happened from around the country.
Recently, with Charlie Kirk being assassinated,
He's a piece of garbage. Of course we were mean. I am so tired of people saying, oh, but, it's a terrible thing. No, Hitler is dead. I'm glad Hitler's dead.
Hey!
All right, so what you just saw in those 2 videos is, number 1, a woman not apologizing for being mean about Charlie Kirk's assassination, equating him to Hitler, and then you saw a woman making a gun gesture to her neck, and she was doing that at a Republican counter-protester. And guess what? By the way, she is a public school teacher. Shouldn't even be surprised at this point. Other examples here, Libs of TikTok posted this. Photos from Denver's No King protests. Quote, Charlie Kirk had it coming. That is a sign that was outside of the Denver Communists booth. And then these 2 individuals had shirts on that said, make assassinations great again. She posted, Democrats want us all dead. This is what we are fighting against. This is what Matt is saying we need to be united against. Now, in response to all of this, and specifically in response to the Politico story, Matt expressed his take and his feelings about the entire thing in a Daily Wire live stream that happened last week. And Ben Shapiro pushed back, arguing that what people were saying in the group chat was worth condemning. It should be talked about. It should be a bigger story. And from there, they had a back and forth on the live stream over what right-wing radicalism or extremism is, and if it is really worth fighting against. And Matt said this.
When we talk about sort of the quote-unquote radical elements of the right versus the radical elements of the left, these are not exactly the same thing. The radical element of the left denies basic biological reality. I mean, you're militating against these basic realities that we all understand. That's not happening on the right. There is no equivalent of that, of someone saying that men can have babies. Like there's no exact equivalent of that.
So again, Matt is staying consistent here on what he's talking about. He is saying these people want us dead. These people are defying biological reality. This is what we should be fighting against. This is what I want to unite with people over. I'm not going to concern myself with these other ridiculous stories that are being used to distract us. And this created a whole other conversation and firestorm online. One Daily Wire superfan even said that Matt had gone rogue. This is from Queen Mom Bethany, and she said, Matt Walsh wouldn't be running rogue if number 1, Jeremy was at the office, or number 2, Ben was at the office. Jeremy was the glue at the Daily Wire.
This is no different from Matt Walsh saying these things to saying anything else he has in history. These people are crazy.
I just hope it's not too late to fix things. All right, so let me just try to understand here. You're saying that Matt has gone rogue because he is saying things you disagree with and you want him to be controlled or muzzled by people who employ him. And you believe that this is the way Daily Wire used to be run, or how you want it to be run, how it should be run? I'm sorry, but that says a lot. Seth Dillon seemingly subtweeted this whole debate, the whole firestorm, and he wrote, "You should be willing to lose friends for the sake of what is good and true. And friends who can't tolerate honest correction without treating you as a traitor aren't really friends anyway. I'd argue that they are holding you hostage." And from here,
100%.
all hell broke loose because Matt responded with this. He said, "I understand your position, but I consider loyalty to my friends to be one of my most important principles. It always has been. I don't denounce my friends or join in dog piles against them, ever, period. Not because I'm scared to, but because I consider it an act of treachery. Disagreement is one thing. Obviously, debating your friends publicly is totally fine and healthy, but in my case, I can say I have people screaming in my ear, constantly demanding that I actively denounce and condemn friends. I mean actual friends, like people who I've shared a dinner table with, and I just won't do it. Some things are meant to be handled privately. Loyalty matters. Other things matter too, but loyalty matters. When someone I know personally, who I have helped and supported, who would call me on the phone anytime, chooses instead to condemn me in front of the world, I consider it an unforgivable betrayal, and I won't do it to anyone else. And the more that the mob demands that I do it, the more I am sure that I never will." I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. Matt has a lot of great tweets under his belt, but I think this might be my favorite. And I don't think we really need to dance around the issue here or be vague. The friends that people want Matt to denounce or speak out against are Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, the people who are a little nuts right
And
now.
this
But
seems to be a common trend.
there's
these
still
days,
people
because
you
just
can
couple
have a
weeks ago,
dialogue
Megyn
with.
Kelly was asked about these same friends, and this was her response.
Now, as for my decision to platform Tucker, too bad, too fucking bad. I love him. We're friends. I don't think he's an anti-Semite at all, but I don't really care. I think Tucker's a very important, valuable voice in the national conversation.
Tucker just has taken, he's gotten a few paychecks from Qatar in the past. He's got some money on different sides of the spectrum and everything. So there is that, but yeah, I don't think he's anything anti-Semite against Jews.
I'm thrilled.
I think Candace is
So I
apart from
don't
Tucker.
know
Yeah.
her. I don't really know her that well. Although I will tell you, we recently had a very nice exchange before all this. And I was just reminded in my own head that Candace is a young mom of like 3 young kids. She's under a lot of pressure. She's got a big show. She's been under attack since she came onto the public airwaves. She's been under attack constantly. And
I don't know. My prediction with Candace is that she's a bit of a grifter, that, she went from the far left to now she's very far right, because believe it or not, the far left and the far right aren't very far from each other, actually. That political line is more of a circle and it loops back around. I like to have it as the horseshoe, where you got the far left, the far right, and then, you got the moderate all up here, where it's a big fat moderate, but these two down here, they're actually a lot closer to making that circle than anybody on the moderate end of it.
it's my prerogative if I say to myself, that is not someone I wish to attack. I do not feel that way. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I felt this way. And now that people have made my attacking her the stakes of my relationship with whatever person is saying this, I'm going to have to say goodbye to that person. I won't do it. Now it's like a point of pride.
Yeah.
It's literally the same thing as the BLM folks trying to make you raise your fist. The answer is no.
I mean, that is a perfect analogy, in my opinion, and I love Megyn for saying this, but from there, because this is the state of the internet in 2025, people started dogpiling onto Megyn, saying that now she is the dangerous one. She's becoming radicalized because of this sentiment. We all need to be wary of Megyn. You know, what is Megyn doing? And all of this is incredibly ironic to me because all of these conversations have been amplified by Charlie Kirk's assassination. They are arguing over what he believed, who he chose to platform, and who he was friends with. And people are obviously emotional in their grief, and I understand that. Obviously, I empathize with that. They are emotional over their
I mean, if anyone can actually, completely fully agree, Brett was friends with Charlie. She knew him. She talked to him quite a bit. They had good dialogues.
thoughts on hot button issues like the conflict in Israel and Israel's relationship with
Yeah.
our government. Now, I really don't care about all of that back and forth, nor do I have a stake in any debate about Charlie. But from what I have seen, you can't say that Charlie didn't value the kind of loyalty that Matt is discussing. I mean, this is what he said about Candace just shortly before his death.
She's a great friend. You know, look, I don't agree with everything Candace says, but you know what I don't do? I don't stop being friends with people just because people morally blackmail me. I don't do that, and you shouldn't either. Look, I have different views on things as Candace. I have different views on Israel than Candace. I have different views on a lot of geopolitics. But honestly, I traveled the country with Candace. I went to her wedding. I saw her meet her husband.
Yeah, that's the other one, is like, people think Candace is throwing Charlie under the bus, which, maybe a smidgen. However, at least she's one to maybe, she'd warn him that it was coming before she nudged him in front of it by accident. It's like, is she doing it on purpose to properly shit on him? I don't think so. Is she using his assassination and his murder for clout and trying to get more clicks online? I do 100% think she is doing that. However, as far as trying to slander him and bury him, or, bury him in a bad manner, I don't think she's going that far.
To Israel with Candace, which is a fun story I'll tell you at some point. But what I don't like is when people demand, you must stop.
I wonder if he ever told that story.
Being friends with somebody. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's a left-wing tactic. Don't do that. I'm not saying you do that, but other people do that. We should never resort to that.
I mean, this is the kind of unity that Matt is talking about, that he is being attacked for relentlessly. And this kind of sentiment is why Charlie was so beloved. It's something that people have been talking about at length after his assassination. The fact that he truly was friends with everyone, that he wouldn't badmouth you behind closed doors, that he would try to see the good in everyone. He would try to understand you regardless if you disagreed. He saw the value in working with people who might disagree with him, who were on the right and shared many of his values. Like, that was one of the wonderful things about Charlie. That should be a huge part of his legacy. And the key line in that video is that he would not be morally blackmailed into attacking his friends or canceling his friends. And that is exactly what is happening to Matt Walsh. That is exactly what has been happening to Megyn Kelly, and that is what they are very publicly pushing back against. It's also what has been happening to Brandon Tatum and his wife Corinne, who are longtime best friends with Candace Owens, and yet they vehemently disagree on the topic of Israel. And yet both parties refuse to attack each other. When it's brought up, they say, you know what? Candace is off limits. Brandon is off limits. He's a brother to me. He is a sister to me. Friendships are bigger than politics, and I massively respect them for that. Now, needless to say, I agree with Matt and Megyn and the Tatums, but you might have, already gathered that, considering that I have not stopped being friends with Candace regardless of the comments that I've gotten. And that is probably...
Yeah, I don't mind people remaining friends. There's loyalty and friendship to an extent.
Why James Lindsay tweeted that he was so
I don't think Candace has hit that extent.
was inviting me to speak at their conference this summer. Like, I genuinely can't think of another reason, because again, we have never interacted to my knowledge, so that must be the reason why. Now, I also want to put it out there that I am not trying to insert myself into any kind of drama, but I thought that it was important to speak on all of this because I do know, and I have worked with some of these parties very intimately. So no, I will not stop being friends with Candace Owens, who has become like a big sister to me because the internet demands it. I will not attack Matt just because I no longer work with him or because the internet has decided to pile on to him for the 27th millionth time. I also will not pile on to attacks on Ben Shapiro's character because he was nothing but kind and supportive of me during my time at Daily Wire. And that is a fact. I just won't do it. And if you have a problem with any of that, that's fine. But I would urge you to consider something that Matt also posted about this. He said, "What annoys me is when people claim that I must denounce so-and-so or say such and such because it is the principled thing to do. They haven't even considered the possibility that perhaps I have different principles than they do. Those might be your principles, but they aren't mine. One of my most cherished principles is loyalty to family and friends. It might not be yours, but it is mine. So when you accuse me of not having..."
And with that, there is certain situations where you may not want to be loyal to your family or certain friends if those friends have backstabbed you, or the family, maybe you grew up in an abusive household and you are actually being better off not interacting with the people who treated you poorly in your past. There are certain situations. So to the most cherished principles is loyalty to family and friends, period. There could be a little asterisk there. But I'm sure if you asked Matt about it, he would probably agree to that as well, where if you grew up in bad situations or bad things happened along the way, maybe you gotta cut some people out.
Principles, please be sure to stipulate that I don't have your principles, and that is true. I'm not you and you aren't me. You might want to consider that on occasion. And so if you are angry with Matt, if you are angry with Megan or me or whoever for continuing to be friends with somebody who goes against your values or pisses you off on a daily basis, again, that is fine. That is your prerogative. It simply means that we have different values. And guess what? It is a free country. That is the beauty
And
of
we're
it.
allowed to
And another
have
thing
those.
that I want to say is that friendships in the public eye, especially with politics, especially in 2025 when everything is a hot button issue and tensions are so high, these relationships are complicated because everyone thinks that they know the full story or the extent of your relationship. And these days, if you don't condone someone, that automatically means that you align with every single one of their values, when maybe it just means that you value them as a friend, that you have history, that you adore them. Or, in regards to what Matt is saying, it just means that you want to unify as allies against a far bigger, more significant threat than the things we are arguing over on a daily basis. And so all of this to say, the attacks against Matt Walsh are ridiculous. And obviously I am biased because I know him, but I will tell you, Matt Walsh is a good man. He is a loyal friend. He says what he believes, and he will always fight to do so. I have seen it myself. He will always fight. So feel free to continue to tweet at him. Feel free to leave all the comments you want, but I guarantee it will only make his convictions stronger. So be prepared.
It was a great episode. I see the difference in the, the quote-unquote civil war that is being claimed that's going on between the conservative groups. And yeah, I quite enjoyed that much. There are more videos on my channel. Feel free to go check them out. Hit the like button, get subscribed for more content on the way. 2 videos every day. And have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.